We're streaming. We're already on YouTube and Facebook and everything else.
Well, okay, let's do it. Streaming live on Instagram and all the other platforms. Ready to serve you on the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. Ready to make an upgrade today. And ready to make an installation. Install new software and hardware into your body, your mind, your soul. Let's do it.
Yes. Okay. Let's make this a quick and wonderful, informative, helping people just say the right exact words that will click for them. Let's do it. Motion is Lotion, right. Episode 60 something. I don't know. Recording in 3, okay. 2, 1.
Leaders and healers, gamers and claimers, ladies and gentlemen from around the universe, from around the globe, from around the community, wherever you are, at home, at work, in your car, driving in this crazy weather in Burlington. It's snowing outside right now. This is the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cheam, speaker, life coach, author, trainer, friend to you, giving the best of what I've learned and have basically cultivated for the past few years, 15, 20 years, studying this world of spirituality, emotional fitness, peak performance, physical, everything that I can get my hands on to make my life better so I can make the world better. I'm going to share with you on various topics, and I'm excited each time. I know I say that, but I just show up as this energetic, crazy individual just wanting to give to you as much love as humanly possible in whatever role I'm playing and whatever subject we're talking about. So thank you for joining us on this podcast. Cameron from Chatham, Ontario is on this. He's become a big partner in my life, a big inspiration in my life, and he's just adding to my repertoire. He's adding to my life. He's adding to the love in my life. So thank you so much for joining us, Cameron from Chatham. What's up, my friend?
Not too much. I'm really excited today. I have a show later, playing some music at a vegan restaurant. Very, very excited for that.
Love it, love it.
And I guess, I'm on a constant uphill trend of peaks and valleys in my life. But the thing to focus on is that if you squint your eyes, it's uphill the entire time.
Yes.
So, things are good. They're always getting better. Things are always working out for me. And I don't know, I used to just say that as an affirmation, but now I feel it. I really do.
Yep.
And so I encourage a lot of people. I was on the phone with my friend last night, Danish, you know Danish.
Yeah, of course.
And he was just saying, man, the person on the phone right now is not even close to the person who, called me to check in March. And he said, before you start reaching even higher, take a look at what you've done. Take a look at how far you've come. And just appreciate the fact that you've gone this long with constantly just trying to be better. That's rare. And so, it was a really, really, really nice thing to think about is before I reach for the stars, just realize where I've come from. So I appreciate it. Also got a comment on Facebook from Glenn. Thank you so much. He said, shout out to Cameron. Great job, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Glenn.
Enough about myself. Let's talk about motion and lotion, and I'm not sure what that means.
Motion is
let's
lotion.
Get into it.
Okay. Well, listen, I didn't say, in terms of this podcast, you know what? We talk about claiming your power, clarifying your purpose, and cultivating your deepest, widest, and highest passion. So you can be an inspiration. You can enjoy life and experience life. But you're right. I think at the end of the day, if you get to your destination but you hated the journey, I'm sure most of the people out there, if not all the people out there listening to this podcast, or everyone in the world has experienced this upward trend or this upward mobility of you're going after a goal or objective, and you finally reach it and you kind of go, okay, I'm there. Now what? And so it's this idea, again, Christmas is a great example of that. And we're less than 3 weeks away from Christmas. And, anticipation, and then the day comes and it's over. So enjoying the process. Trusting, and one of my favorite lines I use on clients is trust and enjoy the process. Trust it. Trust that what you're doing is you're on the right path, that you have the right people around you, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. And it's a great strategy, Cam, that you look back. You have to stop and look back and just reflect and look back how many steps you've taken, how far you've grown. And oftentimes oftentimes it's not necessarily qualitative. It's more qualitative than quantitative. We can't measure it with a mathematical equation, but we can measure it with our hearts and our abilities to impact people's lives and the level of enjoyment and level of awareness we have in our lives in particular areas of our life. So people out there, if you are listening to this on a consistent basis, kudos to you because you're growing each time you listen to this podcast, because I'm certainly growing each time you are listening and joining into this podcast. So we are kindred spirits, and we're here to make the world better, because better individuals will make the world better, and a better world will make better individuals. Okay, so we're working together as an integral approach in making ourselves and the world better. Okay, so what does motion is lotion mean? One of my friends who's a chiropractor, I went to high school with, he's my chiropractor too. Long time ago, we were having this discussion about movement, and I said to him, you know, movement is the number one component and element that basically distills in the human body longevity. It's the one component that will literally, if you're moving and you're exercising your body and you're moving towards something and you have meaning, you have purpose, it'll extend your life by many years. And it won't just bring more years to your life, but more life to your years. We talked a lot about rest and peace and reflection and all these things we talk about, and about rest and meditation. Those are great. Don't get me wrong. Don't ever stop doing those things. But once you are out of that, you want to move, you want to groove, you want to give your life meaning by moving your body. And what my friend, Dr. J talks about is motion is lotion. And the new acronym for physiotherapists, as an example, for physical body, the older acronym used to be RICE, R-I-C-E, rest, ice, compression, elevation. The new one they use is MICE, M-I-C-E, which is movement, ice, compression, elevation. People that have injured their bodies, rest, yes, of course, is good. But what they do tell you is push it. But don't just stay stagnant, move. And your body will respond accordingly, and your body's immune system will be enhanced. Therefore, your recovery will be enhanced. And that goes for physical, emotional, relationship, whatever it is. Go step into what's uncomfortable and move your body. Motion is lotion. I was actually talking to someone today, and they own a business and they're ready to retire. And they're like, I've been ready to retire for the past 15 years. I just can't retire because I find so much movement and emotion and meaning in what I do that if I stop, it's like, oh, then what? And then my body dies. The fact that he's been wanting to retire and people have been telling him to retire for about 15 or 20 years, and he hasn't, tells me that he not only that he loves his job or loves his business that he's in, but it's extending his life. It gives his life meaning. It's bringing more years to his life, but more life to his years as well. And he's apparently the reason why a lot of his friends have been telling him to retire is because he has all these health issues, and all these health issues are, kidney this, that, he has to go see doctors. But he's like, he's not going to allow his physical ailments to deter him from what he loves to do most. And I truly believe, I mean, again, you can't measure this, but I believe he would have died many years ago if he were to retire. I won't know that, but the people, like for me, I know this my wife knows this, my friends know this about me. I will never retire. I might transition to another field of work, but I'll never retire. I'm going to retire with a paycheck that I earned with my own blood and sweat in the mail. Well, I guess by that time, hopefully there won't be mail. It'll probably just be e-transfers and digital and all this other stuff. But I will die making money, giving value to the world. My dad taught me that a long time ago. In fact, retirement, anytime it's mentioned in the Bible, it's actually a punishment. 2 times it's mentioned in the Bible, it's actually a punishment. And by the way, the word retirement, got this from Zig Ziglar. The whole concept of retirement came from, I think it was Bismarck back in, I think the 17 or 1800s or something. And he had a lot of opposition in the political realm. And he found out that all the people that were wise and were brilliant, that were opposing his views, were all over the age of 65. And he passed a bill that said, if you're over the age of 65, it's like you have to retire. And he, by one fell swoop of the pen, he made all of his opponents retire after the age of 65, and the rest of the world basically just followed suit. So let me tell you something. If you could, like Mayor Hazel a former mayor of Mississauga, she was not in her early 90s when she was, the mayor. Like, that is unbelievable. There's a woman at an old age home. I don't want to call it an old age home, a retirement home or a wellness center for the older crowd or senior citizens. She's 101 years old, and she swims every single morning at 7 a.m. 101 years old. 101. So go back 101 years old. 1917. Think about that. World War I, World War II. She's been through everything, and she swims every single morning. Every time I see her, she's moving like crazy. Motion is lotion. I have another client. She's 87. She's a little petite woman, probably 90 pounds. And let me tell you, man, she's just moving. She has her walker and she's just gunning it up and down the hallways. It's crazy. And I work out with her like 3 times a week, and she's unbelievable. She's like a little feisty little woman, but man, does she have energy? Does she have charge? And she has life.
I don't know if I ever mentioned this on the podcast yet, but I think I was at a bar playing music on New Year's. I think it was 2015 going into 2016. And right after the ball dropped, my business partner at the time, her husband came up to me and he said, he was kind of like drinking. He was a little buzzed, but he was like, you know what, Cameron? I'm 57 years old and I just had the best summer of my entire life. And he said, if you think things slow down and if you think, you know, once you hear, oh yeah, you're 40, it's just all downhill from there. It's a choice. And he was just like, and he's the type of guy who goes skiing. He goes on like fishing trips. He does all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's only 57 compared to the 80-year-olds you're talking about. But like still, imagine this. Like you're turning 40 this month, are you not?
Oh, oh my gosh. So in 12 days. Oh my gosh.
In 12 days. In 12 days, Anthony is turning 40. What if I was to tell you that you're not going to have the best summer of your life for another 17 years? Doesn't that excite you? Isn't that like, dude, 16 summers later, then it's the best summer of my life. You know what I mean? So like really, there is that anticipation if you let it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
you got it. And the whole idea, I think you enjoy it now. It doesn't have to be some far out place. You can enjoy it now. And I can tell you right now, one of the things, I remember there was a study done a long time ago with a bunch of retired, successful CEOs, presidents, and whatnot. And they asked them this question, do you have any regrets? And if so, what would that regret be? And they all answered the same way or in some way, shape, or form. And we can argue semantics all day. But basically what they said was, I would have taken more risks. I would have moved more. I would have done things that, you know, my inner cynic told me not to do. I wish I would have done those things. And people oftentimes don't regret the things they do. They regret the things they don't do. Move. Don't die with the music still in you. Move towards something. If it's a book that you've been wanting to write it. If it's a song you've been waiting to sing, then sing it. If it's a play you've been waiting to compose it. If it's a
write
art
that
or
album,
painting,
Anthony.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and it's funny that you're saying that because I've been wanting to write an album for many years now, and I've been encouraged by so many different people to put together an EP or an album. And Cameron, godsend, angel in my life. He produces music. He's an amazing musician, amazing artist. And I told him the other day, I said, man, I want to do it. I want to do an album. He's like, man, I can do it. I can help you do it. And we could do it together. And I said, wow, and again, it's all synchronistic. And I just love it. I'm definitely going to do it 2019. We're going to work together, maybe a 6 or 8 song album or something. But just to say that I did it, whether it sells 1 million copies or not, I don't care. The fact that I did that. And I could care less if my book sold 1 million copies. If that one book would impact one person's life by 1 million compared to impacting 1 million people on the surface, I'd rather pick the one person that it affects like crazy amounts. Now, it's great to have both. But let me tell you something. Impact can be experienced in many different ways. I'm all about impacting, inspiring people at the great depth. So motion is lotion. Move your body, move your mind, getting a creative flow, get into that space, that state where you're like, I just want to move. I want to do something. I want to be active. I want to be purposeful and passionate in my life. Just start moving. In fact, I remember one woman, she was telling me, she said to me, she would just commiserate. She was one of those personalities that would she wanted the perfect plan before she would start doing something. And guess what? She would never do it because she'd never come up with a perfect plan because there's no such thing as a perfect plan. And one day she got so sick of it. She said, I want to start this workout routine and exercise. I've been meaning to do this for years, but I can't find the perfect trainer or I can't find the perfect diet. And she said, screw it. I'm sick and tired of this. And she just started going for a walk. And she went on a walk and started going for a walk. And she just went for a walk for like 20 minutes. And then she came back. She's like, hey, I feel really good. And the next day she just did it again. And then she's like, you know what? I'm going to go on YouTube and watch and look at some, weight training or Pilates. She just clicked on yoga or whatever. And she started doing it. And she just started building momentum. She had no plan, but guess what? She was in motion. And when you're in motion, there's lotion towards your devotion, right? So I can tell you right now, it's like when you're emotion, lotion, devotion, they're all interconnected. And the more you're in motion, the more you have emotion, the more it provides that lotion and that sort of smooth effect towards your devotion, whatever your passion or purpose is. And you start to live life in motion and appreciate those times how far, just as Cam said, and how far you've actually trekked and moved on. And man, life takes on a just amazing meaning, and you do get to add to the flavor of life. And man, how many flavors there are in life, man. Baskin Robbins has what, 37 flavors? Man, I'm talking about infinite amount of flavors that you can enjoy. I'm talking about the soul ice cream. I'm talking about mental ice cream. I'm talking about spiritual ice cream. You know what I'm saying there, Cam? Are you feeling me right now?
Oh, dude, I'm there. I'm there. Absolutely. I think like also, because there's times where we human beings make little things so huge in our heads, and then I know everybody has experienced this where like you're in it, you're like you're neck deep in the issue, and then you get out of it, and from that perspective you're like you don't even want to go back in time because you're like, whatever, like I see it from a different thing now, like it's fine. I see the bigger picture, and that's the only thing honestly for me that gets me to move, that gets me to, because if I am very fixated on the issue, on just like feeling bad and like sort of wallowing in that, then I'm immobilized by fear and doubt and anxiety and all these things. So from how would you get yourself to that perspective of seeing the bigger picture? When I first had my shift, anybody that I connected with, I would call them a big picture person, because they're just able to see the bigger picture, and they don't make small things bigger than they are. They don't make problems more important than they should be. They don't identify with a lot of the pointless things that people are chasing for. Big picture people. How would you, on a consistent basis, or when you need to, pull out of your tool belt this thing that can bring you that perspective?
You know what? That's an amazing question. And I think I alluded to it earlier, and I think we've done a podcast on this, is get sick of it. That you're basically, you get disturbed and say, this is not serving me. This pattern that I'm in of just wallowing and swimming and just shaming myself and living in this prison and allowing it to mobilize me and giving it its power, that's make it sick. Like, no, this is no longer, I'm no longer going to be a slave to this. And you got to literally get real and raw. Again, tell yourself the truth is one of the podcasts we did recently. Tell yourself the truth. This is not, I'm no longer going to live an unlived life, a half-lived life by being a slave to this pattern of just mobilizing me, of sabotaging me, of destroying my life, and make the decision, the raw decision, just to say, I'm sick of this. I'm no longer going to indulge in this. I'm going to take action. This motion is lotion. I'm going to move. I don't care what it is. Do something. I remember one of my original mentors, I was getting frustrated. I remember him just saying, he looked at me, just grabbed my face literally and went, do, and he paused, something other than what you're doing right now, because you're sitting and just wallowing in it, and you just do something, Anthony. I just went, you know what I mean? So the idea for me, even if you do like my friend did, who just went for a walk, and she was, and as you change your physiology, change your state, greater ideas, you break yourself out of that physiological emotional pattern, and just that break in that pattern allows for that space, that void, for you to actually come up with creative ideas to enhance your life, if that makes sense. Because by sitting there, you know, with like, just kind of going, much, it's hard to come out of that just from this position of like depression or sadness or loneliness. You got to be able to move, and the more you move, the more ideas are going to flow through you. I honestly, that's probably the most basic strategy that I use. You talk about big picture. Again, my whole idea is this: is that when I'm in a sort of a rut, I remember I keep on telling myself, this is going to serve me, but I know I'm going to come out stronger. I can make the decision either right now, or I can extract a lesson from that rut that I need to extract it from, even if I have to wait a couple of days and just extract it. Maybe it's need rest. Recently I needed to rest a bit more because I felt my body just getting more exhausted. So I gave myself permission to sleep in and just to chill out, to watch a movie, whatever it is. And then when I returned, man, I was charged. And that comes through experience and just listening to your body, listening to the subtle signs that your mind and body are giving you. But
that's okay. Something I noticed as well is because I've been listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks and Wayne Dyer, and specifically Abraham, they talk about generalizing versus getting specific. So if you're in a negative thought pattern and your instinct is to just get specific in what you're negative about. So like, I hate this person, and I hate that they do this, and I hate people in general who do that. That's like such a terrible thing. I don't even know where that comes from. That's so bad. Or you know, you're upset about this. So you just sort of add detail to why you're upset.
Yeah.
So I would do the reverse. If you're in a negative thought pattern and you're feeling like you're motionless and you're not doing anything with your life or even just with the day or whatever, I would get very specific on what you love. Just start with what you love. Be a child and just appreciate what's in front of you real quick. I don't know. Like, first of all, I love the color blue, and like this is a real nice deep like royal blue kind of. Like there's something about blue that I really love. But if I'm not in the mood for blue, then I'll move on to the next thing. You know, blue isn't that fascinating. Let's put on a song. Let's see what that does to me. And then appreciate the song for what it is. Think about your heroes like Bob Marley or George Harrison or John Lennon or Jesus Christ or whoever you look up to. And just like kind of like just be like, oh, they're awesome. I like them. Or, you know, go to your kitchen and just like eat something healthy. Like get some food, but like eat something healthy. Try and just like find things that you appreciate and get specific on why you appreciate them. Instantly, I'll think about a beach with palm trees and blue skies and like fierce warm wind, and then the waves are crashing and I dive in and I'm just swimming and I have all the energy in the world and the water's blue and it feels nice on my skin, and then I get out and I like just getting very specific on something good, something positive. Because
very good.
When you get specific on the opposite end of the spectrum, it creates what they call momentum, which is really like, it's in the universe, it's basically a law. Like you're either growing or you're dying. You're either going this way or you're going that way, positive or negative. Momentum never stops, right? Like you don't see a flower or even a human being for that matter not grow or die or anything, just stay the same. It doesn't happen. There's constant change. And so which direction would you like that change to go in, right? And you can always, from the worst place, you know, you could go from absolute depression to hate, or you can go from hate to hope, right? Like there's always a different direction you can go in. And so that would just be my sort of like from personal experience way to just at least go in the right direction. You're not going to feel good right away, but like use this momentum, the law of the universe, that things are constantly moving. Use that movement to go and move in the right direction rather than the opposite.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. And I think you make an amazing point that when you change your focus onto something more that's lovable, something that's going to enrich your life, or it's going to empower you to actually take action towards something. Because if you can shift your focus, if you can shift your physiology, shift your mindset from this is bad to this is teaching me something, and you can always extract whatever lesson you can from any situation. And if you haven't learned anything from the situation, guess what? That's the lesson that you've just learned, that you haven't learned anything yet. I mean, you can extract anything positive from something negative, and you can extract anything negative from something positive. So both laws exist. Both laws are available. What's good is always available. What's bad is always available. And the question is, you can either be on top of change, or change can be on top of you. You can be on top of change, or change allowed change to be on top of you. And part of that for me, if you want to get even more, just to kind of add to what you just said, add an ingredient, is oftentimes I say to people, this is one of my favorite things to say to people, is this: are you depressed, or are you bored and not being challenged? And oftentimes you should see the reaction I get. They kind of have this like aha moment. Their eyes start to flicker and they're making new connections in the brain. They're going, well, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm bored with my job. Yeah. I'm bored with life. I haven't done any. Again, and I'll ask them, so what's something you love to do? And they'll just start talking about it. And all of a sudden they start talking about something they love. And I'll say, well, have you done that in the past year? And like, no. Like, have you been challenged in the past? No. What's new and exciting? Nothing. And they just start to get excited because they realize it's not that they're depressed. It's just that they're not being challenged. There's nothing new and exciting. Nothing. They haven't been doing what they love to do because they've started a family, or started a new job, or whatever it might be, or they just been diagnosed with some sort of ailment or whatever it might be. Listen, I can tell you right now, what I've discovered in all amazing people that I admire, mentors, coaches, amazing people, biographies of people that have just overcome crazy amount of odds. The one common theme of all of them is that they saw their circumstances not as defining them. They defined their circumstances. and they extracted from it. It's something that made them bigger and stronger and wiser as a result. As strength, as you struggle, so too your strength increase. As you suffer, so too will your capacity to love and be loved and be more compassionate and show up as a compassionate human being be cultivated in you, through you, as you. And so they're the opposites of the same coin at flip. Love and suffering, strength and struggle, they come together as one. And I can tell you right now, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching this podcast, wherever you are, I can tell you right now that I with absolute certainty, with every part of who I am, that wherever you are, if you're in a rut, if you're in a downward spiral, that's okay. You can pull yourself up by redefining it, changing the meaning, and then moving into the direction of something, as Cam said, something you love, something that you challenge. Like that one, about 5 years ago, I was in a rut and I said, you know what would I tell a client? And I said, you know what? I'm not being challenged. And I just signed up for a marathon. I know, crazy like that. And I'm not even a long distance runner. But let me tell you, those next 6 months of training, man, was I excited. Man, did I grow. Man, was I being challenged. My body, my mind, I was like, I was being pushed to my limits because I'm not a runner. And I was like 42.2 kilometers. That's something I've never even just fathomed of doing, but I challenged myself. I'm not saying you got to run a marathon, but you got to do something that moves you, something that really stimulates you, that's something that excites you, and something that's going to challenge you and actually instill a level of fear in you too. It's like when you go whitewater rafting, it's both exciting and fearful. You go jump off a building, like a skydive or something, 30,000 feet or wherever, how high you up, it's both scary and exciting. So it's good to kind of dance between the two. So hopefully that helps. Any last minute words there, Cam?
Honestly, I think this was a really, really
we
good
covered
show. We covered it. And I would suggest if somebody didn't really understand the full whatever, just listen to it again, because I do that a lot with podcasts and stuff like that. So, but honestly, great episode, Anthony. Seriously.
Yeah. Likewise, man, you add so much flavor to it, man. So thank you so much. And fist pump to everyone on Instagram, on Facebook. Fist pump, man. Let's go to your continued upgrade and evolution. Live it up with power, purpose, and passion. If you like this podcast, if you love this podcast, share it, comment, ask questions. We're here to serve you. We're here to help you make upgrades in your life, your spiritual, emotional, mental, whatever role you're looking to upgrade and update and install. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you in all your endeavors. Thank you, guys. We love